Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and Happy New Year! Get it? Anyway, we're all patiently awaiting Dawn Trail news, and we won't have to wait long. JP FanFest is this Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific, and that was really the next bit of news we were expecting to get. However, Yoshi-P decided that he wanted to do a little Q&A for the New Year's, and so he logged over to the Chocobo server on the JP data center and answered some questions from eager people who were around and just wanted to ask him a few things. And he had some interesting things to say, stuff that probably won't be highlighted at something like a fan festival, so he almost got a mini interview in a sense with this. Now, as this was over on Chocobo, all of this was originally posted in Japanese. However, it made its way onto my Discord and my social media, but at Rinzakotis on Twitter posted a bunch of the questions and answers, and I just wanted to take this video to go over those because, like I said, I think there's some things that some of y'all will be excited to read. So the first highlighted question is, we want more housing exteriors. Okay, not really a question, more like a statement, but we all know that that's going to be the case. Now, when they say housing exteriors, they of course mean the actual outward appearance, like a Paisa house or a Mughal house and stuff like that. They said that just other things are taking priority. After they're done with 7.0 and after they do all the graphic update stuff, then they'll get back to developing new exterior designs. Nothing fancy, it's just kind of putting their priorities in place. Now, the second, I guess I'll call it a demand, not a question, is something I know a lot more people want to hear about. Please add more hats for Viera. Not Hrothgar, apparently. This person only cares about Viera. But Yoshi-P's answer is an interesting one because they openly state that they're working on adjusting the system for Viera and Hrothgar wearing headgear. So please wait patiently. Now, we haven't heard anything too definitive about Hrothgar and Viera headgear. It's kind of just been on a case-to-case basis for quite some time. Back when they were first talking about the limitation, they said they would be working to get more and more hats and headgear available for them, and it was going to be a long, drawn-out experience. And that kind of just faded away. Every single patch, it's just a roulette of what will work, what won't work, what'll still have ears, what'll just cover the ears up entirely, just all that sort of things. But I guess with the making a female Hrothgar, which we know they're working on and is one of the things we expect from this coming fan festival, they've probably been reevaluating how the headgear works for those jobs as a whole. So there's hope. I won't say they're confirming it, but I'll at least confirm there's hope for headgear for Viera and Hrothgar being a far more normal thing in the future. The next one was a very strange question. Making 2 dyeable slots for gear seems like a lot of work. Is it fine on the memory end? That's kind of one of those questions where you really only think about it because they've often spoke about the difficulty with memory when talking about developing features for the game. It feels like this question was born of that constant reassurance whenever they're talking about new features or adding new stuff. But they said the programmers and designers are doing their best. I have more to show during the next FanFest, so please wait a bit. Yeah, I hadn't even really had that, but I guess we now know for certain we'll be seeing more examples of what gear with 2 dyeable slots actually looks like. Who knows what that'll be? Maybe just a piece or two showcasing what they can look like with the different dyes and like what the menu itself will actually look like. But hey, that's something else to look forward to this Saturday. Next one, Yoshida! I need more inventory space! Now, they obviously mean just straight up inventory. They don't mean anything for housing or any particular other aspect. And this one says they're working on increasing the item slots of the house. It has priority right now, but they will keep improving. Very general statement, just like, yeah, we're always working on something that has to do with inventory, but not really addressing the direct on-person inventory. Next was, I don't have enough glam plates, as if we don't hear this demand/question enough. There will be new jobs and all, and please add more plates. And then just like, it's on the list, but it's not a priority. We know they're always going to keep working to add new plates, and maybe at some point they'll just look at the glam system and come up with a better way of doing it within the game's programming. But hey, another mention, another reassurance, I suppose. Add a feature that renders your character model with priority, please. I think this is them saying your, as in Yoshi-P's character model, because he's probably standing in such a huge crowd that maybe people can't see him. And he's like, if we did that, y'all would be complaining. If we did that, we'd be drowned in complaints telling us we're putting effort into the wrong things. Yeah, giving Yoshi-P's character priority render is probably not high on their list of important things to do. The next one's also fairly interesting. I really liked Eureka and Bozia. Really looking forward to the new big field content in Dawn Trail. And he just says, thank you, please look forward to it. Now, new exploration content in Dawntrail has been sort of kind of like a passing comment. They didn't mention it on stage directly. They talked about things like the new lifestyle content, which they will be going over a little bit more at the JP FanFest. They talked about Deep Dungeon, but they did say things like, we're not completely sure about Deep Dungeon. Maybe we'll do something else instead. But then following the US fan festival, where we first started hearing about this stuff, there were interviews where they had made mention of things like exploration content and how people really want that back, and they're looking to do something in Dawntrail. And specifically a comment alongside of it saying that while Endwalker was focused on making the game more solo friendly, Dawntrail is going to go back to making more group content, activities that people can do together, and that's going to be evident in a lot of facets of content. So a new exploration content would be right up the alley of that, and it's something I definitely feel like we need, and I don't want to imagine another expansion without it, without something very, very dedicated in its place. Then we had, can you do something about the lunchbox machinists are carrying around their hips? That's so funny because I actually made mention of this on my stream like a week ago. Like I remember what we were talking about, but I brought up the fact that we have this other aspect that I feel like gets no appreciation at all. And I was specifically talking about the lunchbox. And all Yoshi-P had to say, those lunchboxes are filled with love. We can't remove them. Yeah, I was saying that it feels like they don't get enough attention in the glam department, and that's something that I really feel like people would appreciate. Now, obviously, the ability to not have it visible might also be in some people's interest wheelhouse, but I don't know, I feel like they could be a bit more involved and creative with the way they treat it in respects to glam with the various weapons. Then there's just one person, apparently they were in the group that cleared E8S with Yoshi-P on one of his streams. I remember that because people were judging his Black Mage gameplay and saying he was likely a very, very high, or like a 95 out of 100 percentile in terms of his performance, which, you know, it's his favorite job and he plays the game on a serious level. So you would hope that he could perform at that capacity. But I think the constant perception that a game's director doesn't necessarily have to be good at said game kind of perpetuates here. And Yoshi-P definitely proved a lot of people wrong with that E8S stream. And then he said once 7.0's development has calmed down a bit, he wants to go back to doing some streams where he actually just does raids with people over on the JP data centers. He just groups up with them and does some serious endgame savage raiding. And honestly, it's great. It's always a good thing to see. It's fun, and some funny things normally happen because he definitely gets griefed a bit. The next one's so funny. Yoshi-P, I'm a kind of cat person. And Yoshi-P just replies, unfortunate. I like walls. It's so strange. And then why don't we have the Lupin as a race? Come on, Yoshi-P. Just make it happen. Now, the next one cracks me up in particular. I am terrible at jump puzzles. How can I improve? Turn your camera into the direction you're jumping to and work on the precision and not the speed. Speed will come naturally. I've watched this man do jump puzzles / the jumping stuff in the self step, and I'm not sure if he's the one to be given the advice on that one. And finally, we get please add more options for character creation. That's been a huge, long time request because, we just get new options for the esthetician and stuff like that, but they haven't really gone back and made the character creator better and ever. And they actually says, Yoshi-P says, that will be sometime after the graphics update. So we get some pretty solid answers about some long-time concerns within the community. I mean, the hats for Viera and Hrothgar have been a thing since they released, and we're about to have the final, the completion of all the genders for that with female Hrothgar, the character creator, that we've had just so many basic options for so many years. It's so nice to hear about these things. Don't get me wrong. Things like this could pop up at a fan fest. The double die channels thing, that popped up at a fan fest. I would have never had something like that on my bingo board, and these kind of fall in the same category. But the fact that they're mentioning it with such certainty, I suppose, yes, we are doing this thing for Viera and Hrothgar. Yes, we are going to add more character creation options after the graphics update. That's important. Those are very much not vague statements, which Yoshi-P very regularly makes when he doesn't want to disappoint, but he doesn't want to make a promise. So while these translations may not necessarily be exact, you always have to factor that in, that maybe the text is a little bit more vague when you're just reading it naturally in Japanese. these seem very definitive. So I'm going to use that to judge my excitement going forward, and I hope we'll hear more about some of this stuff in the near future. It actually goes very much in line with Yoshi-P's New Year's message, where he said they're getting ready for the next 10 years, and it's a lot of changes to their development and how they actually, are able to produce content in an efficient manner, and also talk about how some things we will see the results of that immediately, and some things will be, years down the line, but they're making sure they're taking all the right steps. And that's a good thing to hear, because Dawn Trail is the start of a new era. And whether or not we like that new era is very much to be determined. It is not set in stone. It's not building upon 10 years. It's now the start of another 10-year cycle. And who knows if it'll all be the same story or if it'll be broken up into mini arcs like we had after 6 point. Who knows? We have no idea. So things like this are reassuring going into the new year, going into the new expansion, and I'm just all the more excited to get the news on Saturday. But with that, that is going to be a wrap for this video. Be sure to like and subscribe, engage with the video, go to the comment section, share your excitement. Always do that on YouTube videos. We appreciate it, us content creators. And remember, if you want to watch live coverage of Fan Festival, I'll be co-streaming it on both YouTube and Twitch, 5 p.m. Pacific on Saturday, January 6th. So hopefully I'll see you there, and hopefully we can all get excited together. With that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.